There are so many people out here that work hard and have worked their entire lives and they still cannot retire.
Nobody may tell you this, but layoffs after 50 are not always about your work performance.
So using age as an excuse to keep talented people out of the workforce is by and large a bunch of crap.
And it is not because they were reckless with their money, y'all, but because all they were ever taught to do was to save, how to depend on these pensions and these 401ks.
I don't even know who to apply to anymore because it's so hard trying to find a 9-to-5.
And so now they're hitting their 50s and their 60s and they're realizing that there is barely enough money in there for them to even survive.
Just first of all, for a little bit of an update. First of all, I had those 2 interviews at the beginning of this week. The Pilates interview, so I was a no-go because I couldn't make the appointment. I did make the appointment with the tour operator who was supposed to get back to me by the end of the day today with next steps, and he never did. So I guess I didn't get either job. So ageism is real, guys. And I've been doing research and I've looked at polls and all sorts of stuff in the last couple of days, just trying to get a grip and handle on this. And
so let me ask you guys a question. What happens when you do everything you were told to do and it still doesn't work? You work for decades, you show up, you stay loyal, you save what you can, you don't take a lot of crazy risk, but then one day you look up and realize retirement feels farther away than it ever did. Or worse, you can't even get a call back for a job anymore. That's not necessarily laziness or bad planning or people not wanting to work. That's a system quietly breaking, and older workers are feeling it first. So we're back talking about the OGs and how they have to struggle just trying to make it. They're not necessarily making excuses or asking for handouts, but they're tired, they're frustrated, they're confused, and they're realizing that the rules change while they were busy following them. Layoffs after 50 years old, jobs disappearing, age working against you, retirement turning into a question mark instead of true freedom. These voices matter because they sound like what's going on in real life. Whether you're in your 40s like myself or your 50s or 60s, there's a good chance one of these stories will feel uncomfortably familiar. Let's get into it.
3 main things came up on why ageism is a thing. The first one is technology and our lack of knowledge of it, which is very frustrating because do people not realize we still have a brain? We can still learn things. We can still figure stuff out. The second one was the longevity. So, maybe by hiring somebody that's a tiny bit older, they wouldn't stay as long with the company because they could be closer to retirement, which true. However, I don't know too many people that stay in one particular role for longer than 5-10 years. They usually move on. The last one that kept coming up a lot, and this one is sad, the fact that an older person doesn't necessarily fit into the culture, the company culture of whatever that may be, obviously a younger vibe. They tend to think that we're not up on lingo or current events or things that are going on or music or whatever. Ageism, so not getting hired for a particular position because of age, is illegal in Canada. But on a side note, they said there's no way at all to prove that the company didn't hire you due to your age. There's no way to prove that. They could use any number of reasons of why they didn't hire you.
So in this situation, she has 2 interviews that didn't go anywhere. One she couldn't attend, and the other one she was supposed to follow up but never did. And that kind of silence matters. And she's talking about ageism, something that people are noticing every single day. They realize that there's some issues going on, and there's the 3, main excuses companies are probably using. Technology, ability to stay longer as possible, and culture fit. And she pushes back on all those. She says that older people can learn technology. And the idea they won't stay long makes no sense in a world where most people don't stay in one role for decades anymore. And the culture fit just means you don't match the younger vibe that they're looking for. So what hits hardest is when she points out that age discrimination is technically illegal, but is almost impossible to prove. Companies can always hide behind vague reasons. That leaves older workers stuck, frustrated, and doubting themselves.
So I just wanted to do a quick follow-up for everybody who was interested on the job interview and how that worked out for me the other day. Well, I'm unhappy to tell you I did not get the job. I was really disappointed because it was right up my alley. It was just going to be a perfect match for me, I believed. But I did notice when I went in, then they looked at my resume and they were like super happy that my last job was like 17 years. They're like, oh, longevity, we love that, we love that. Even though it was a 3-month temp position through a temp agency, clearly they were looking for somebody who was going to continue on and work for a while with them. So they told me that they basically found somebody with more experience in the field. The problem with that is it really was like more of an entry-level administration, and I've been doing administration HR for 30 years, and so I have a strong background in it, and very low tech where I have higher tech skills. So the translation for me is they were looking for somebody who was younger, that they think might stick around for longer. Because I'm certainly not going to work there for 17 years. But I think they're looking for somebody who would be working there longer and commit longer, because I'm in my 60s. And, I know that I would probably have been willing to commit to at least 2 years, and maybe more if I really liked the job and grown in it. However, the mistake I think a lot of people make, and I'm running into this, you can hire somebody younger. You can hire somebody in their 30s, but that does not guarantee they're going to stick around for a year, 2 years, 5 years, 6 months. So I'm seeing a lot of that they are hiring younger people with the hope that they're going to stick around. But in my experience, and other people are telling me, people who are older, may not, be in the workforce much longer, but that does not mean those younger people are going to stick around and stay for a long time. So I've run into that more times than I've had hot dinners. And believe me, I've had a few hot dinners, as you can probably tell. A lot of them. Anyway, so a little bit disappointed.
This story just feels personal right away. She's following up on a job interview, explains that, technically she did not get the job, but something still didn't feel right. The role was entry level, and she has over 30 years of experience. And yet she was told that they went with someone who had more experience. That's when the real message clicks. They're not looking for experiences. They're looking for someone younger. So she has 30 years of experience and they found someone with more experience. How likely is that? Younger workers don't automatically stay. Anyone who's been working and hiring knows that. Job hopping is very common. Loyalty isn't tied to age. Similar to the first clip, they're not angry, it's not rage, they're pretty much calm. They're just disappointed. That's how ageism usually looks in real life. It's not insults or outright rejection, just polite language that quietly closes the door. As for older workers, it's exhausting to keep running into the same invisible wall. This story just captures that moment when you realize it isn't about skill anymore. It's really about assumptions.
I know everyone's having a difficult time in the workforce, and the one thing that I hate, that I will refuse to submit to, and I hope other people absorb with what I'm saying, is that I'm not too old to do a lot of stuff, right? Now, I'm too old to do roofing. That I ain't doing. But to work inside of an office, to collaborate with people of different backgrounds, of different ages, that I can do. And I can do it effectively. So using age as an excuse to keep talented people out of the workforce is, by and large, a bunch of crap. See, what companies don't like to do is that they don't like to pay for experience at certain levels, because they know that costs money. And when things cost money, you tend to pull back. So to anybody that's older in the workforce, take what you can right now. Just take what you can for right now, if there's anything offered to you. But also at the same time, don't shrink yourself for these people, because they'll cast you off on a fucking island quicker than you can say, hoo-ha, I got y'all in check. Keep applying pressure. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Because what I refuse a damn company to do is tell me I'm too old to do any goddamn thing. If I want to be a project manager for some large-scale projects, I will be a project manager for large-scale markets. As long as I'm qualified for it and can do the work, then guess what? You got to pay me. That's just the bottom line.
This person makes it very clear. They refuse to accept the idea that they're just too old to contribute, drawing a very important distinction. Physical labor, sure, maybe not forever, but office work, working with others, leadership, project management, they can do all that, and they can do it pretty well. Companies don't want to pay for experience. Experience costs money, and when money is involved, companies pull back. They're trying to save money. They disguise it as something else: energy, fit, culture. But math is the real reason. I respect this person because they're telling people not to give up. They're telling them to keep applying the pressure. Take what you need to survive, but don't shrink yourself. Don't internalize the lie that your age makes you incapable of doing the job. This story speaks directly to the older workers who feel pushed aside and gaslit at the same time. I wouldn't call it motivational fluff. This is validation. This, for a lot of people watching, this matters more than just regular job advice.
So here I am sitting at my deep freezer with my laptop, back to looking for jobs. I don't even know who to apply to anymore because it's so hard trying to find a 9 to 5 because that's the only schedule I have available. 9 to 5. Like, oh my God. 2026, please bring on some opportunities.
She's doing something that a lot of people are doing nowadays. Sitting at home, job searching, admits that she doesn't even know who to apply to anymore. She probably applied to so many different jobs. Not because she doesn't want to work, because she can only work a standard 9 to 5 schedule. Something that used to be normal. Now it's being treated like a limitation. This story just shows how the rules change without anyone really saying it out loud. Jobs want all this flexibility, but only in one direction. Nights, weekends, on call. And if you can't reshape your entire life around this job, you're out. So she's talking about, she hopes that 2026 brings some more opportunities. And it's not really just a joke, it's fatigued. This is what modern job searching looks like for a lot of older workers. They're willing, they're capable, they're trying, and still stuck. Just quiet desperation and frustration.
Hey, what's up, everyone? Just want to drop this in on you real quick. I just think those that are in their 40s and 50s that are looking for a career change, I think the next pivot for you should be being an entrepreneur, okay? Take the money that you're currently making now to fuel that next step for you, because let's be honest, a lot of companies out there are very prejudiced when it comes to people our age. That's why I have a business. I think I'll always be an entrepreneur because I know that some companies will not pay me what I believe and I know a person like myself with a degree is worth. Look to be an entrepreneur. That's the only way that you're going to protect your peace, and you're going to actually feel the value in terms of what you're worth.
So this one is a really interesting shift, right? Because he's talking to people in their 40s and 50s and suggesting that being an entrepreneur is the next pivot. Not because it's trendy, but because companies are prejudiced when it comes to age. He explains why he has his own business. He understands that some companies will never pay what he's worth, and instead of fighting that battle forever, he has built something for his own. What stands out is how he frames being an entrepreneur. It's not the hustle culture, not that chasing millions. It's just protecting your peace. It's not necessarily about the ambition, it's about control, about not letting someone else decide your value in life. I believe that being an entrepreneur could be a pivot, a good pivot, but it depends on your mindset. It really depends on how much risk you want to do, how much energy you have, because starting something from the ground up takes a lot of effort. It takes time. Do you have the money to pay your bills while you set this up? Regardless of what the industry you're trying to get into is, if you have that ability, you can do it. But remember, you're going to be working maybe twice or maybe 3 times as hard as you would a regular 9 to 5 job. But if you're interested and you have the skill set and you have the mindset to do it, yeah, you should definitely do it. Having control is one of the positives of having a business, but that business is going to be like a baby. And we all had babies and we all raised kids, that when you have that baby, you have to do everything. You got to be up all the time. You have to be nurturing that baby. Do you have the energy to do all that? That's a question that only you can answer.
Nobody may tell you this, but layoffs after 50 are not always about your work performance. Budgets change, companies restructure, roles disappear, and sometimes it's just corporate greed. But don't let a corporate decision rewrite your self-worth. You are not that job, and you have skills and gifts and talents that can carry you through. Just remember, your value didn't get terminated, your position did. Comment me too if this hits home.
So this one starts with a sentence that a lot of people desperately need to hear. Layoffs after 50 is not always about performance. As for a lot of older workers, that truth doesn't sink in until probably years later. She explains it clearly without a lot of sugarcoating. Budgets change, companies restructure, roles disappear. Sometimes it's just straight up corporate greed. None of that has anything to do with how hard you worked or how loyal you were. It's business. And what makes this story powerful is the way that she separates identity from employment. I would say a lot of workers often tie their self-worth to being reliable and productive. So when that layoff happens, it doesn't just hurt financially, it hits your sense of value. That's why this line lands so hard. Your value didn't get terminated, your position did. For someone in their 50s and 60s, losing a job can feel like the end of the road. Age discrimination makes it harder to bounce back, and retirement might not be financially possible yet. But she wants to push back against that idea that corporate decision gets you to define who you are. She reminds people who have the skills, the gifts, and the experiences that it doesn't disappear because a company made a spreadsheet decision. She's not really promising any easy answers, but she's giving people permission to stop blaming themselves. And I think that alone is extremely powerful.
You're telling me that you get $2,000 to $3,000 a month for retirement when you turn 70, and they're trying to raise the retirement age so you don't get $2,000 to $3,000 a month when you're 70 years old? Dude, do you know how much that is right now in this economy? $2,000 to $3,000 a month could pay somebody's like part of their mortgage. If you retire early too, they take away 30%. So if like you retire when you're like 62, you get like 70%, only 70% of your social security checks. So you'd only get like, $1,300 or something. When they talk about raising the retirement age, they're talking about taking money away from people over 70. That's what they're talking about. What if we all just screwed the system and we all tried to retire early and we were like, all right, give us 70%. And they're like, whoa, what do you mean? Don't you want to wait till you're the retirement age? Nope. We all want to retire early, dude. We all want to retire early and we want our money now. Like, how early can we retire? Can I retire? I want to retire right now. Give me the Social Security. How old do you have to be to get at least 70%? But then they're going to raise it up when we get to 70. They're going to keep raising. What are you going to raise it up till we're 90? Like, I'm going to turn 72. They're going to raise it to 73. I'm going to turn 73. They're going to raise it to 74. Is that what you're going to do? My God. Don't forget about AI either. That's going to take all the jobs. So now that 35-year work requirement, you're going to get that cut down because AI is you're not going to have a job. So now they're going to be like, oh, you didn't work long enough because AI took your job. So I guess you don't get it now.
So this person is just in pure disbelief and honestly is justified. He's reacting to the reality of the Social Security benefits and saying, well, a lot of people think of the moment when they see the numbers. $2,000 to $3,000 a month at age 70 in this economy doesn't sound like retirement. It sounds like someone barely surviving. So if you break it down in real terms, the amount that might cover a part of a mortgage, maybe rent in some places. But when you factor in food, healthcare, utilities, emergencies, forget about it, then it just gets worse. If you retire early, they cut your benefits about 30%. So now you're looking at something closer to $1,300 a month. That's not real freedom. That's just a lot of stress with the calendar. And what really fuels this anger is even to talk about raising the retirement age, hearing for what it is, taking the money from the people who already paid in this for decades, work longer, wait longer, get less. Then when you bring in AI and automation to this, if jobs disappear because of technology, then how are we supposed to meet our work year requirements even to qualify? It feels like a trap that just keeps getting more and more tighter. This clip really hits because it exposes the fear underneath retirement planning, not just for the folks who are getting close, but for everyone. People didn't expect luxury, but they also expect some kind of dignity. You put a lot of money into the system, you should get something back, and the math is just not working out anymore.
Anyone else reach that point in their career where they're too old to care but too young to retire?
One question, one sentence, that's all it takes. But she definitely is talking about burnout in midlife. You're still showing up, you're still doing the work, you're still needing that paycheck, but emotionally, you're done. I think a lot of people have that same issue. I think because the reward system broke, raises are not keeping up with inflation, promotions mean more stress, not more freedom, retirement keeps moving further away, and age quietly starts working against you. This is the danger zone. You're stuck between obligation and exhaustion. What makes this clip hit so hard is because how universal this all feels. You don't need a long explanation. If you know, you know. Companies benefit from this stage. Workers stay because they feel trapped, not motivated, comfortable enough to endure, tired enough to not push back.
Retirement shouldn't feel like a question mark, but for a lot of us, it does. Retirement should feel like freedom, but for so many of us women over 50, it doesn't feel like that. Maybe you saved maybe not enough. And now you're stuck in this trap of the uncertainty and the stress, and you're losing sleep because you don't know how you're going to make it happen before you're 90. But here's the truth, my friend. It is never too late to take control. Learning a new skill now, making smart moves now, can completely change what retirement feels like to you. It's not about working yourself to exhaustion. It's about building the life that you want while still living your life today. If you're ready to stop stressing, stop losing sleep, and figure out a way so that you can retire before you're 90, comment yes, because I would absolutely love to share with you the skill that I learned that's bringing freedom and certainty into our retirement years.
Retirement is supposed to feel like freedom. Out on the beach, drinking a margarita, hanging out, but instead it feels like uncertainty and sleepless nights. Even for the people who saved. She acknowledges something really important. Many people did save, but it just seemed like it just wasn't enough. With the wage gaps and caregiving roles and career interruptions all compound over time. And now wondering how long their money is going to last. What stands out here, she's not necessarily pushing hustle culture. She doesn't say work yourself to death, but she's saying that it's not too late to take control. Learning a new skill, making smarter moves right now, not for luxury, but for certainty, for stability. And that's the real goal here. Most of us don't necessarily want yachts. I think a lot of us just want peace. They want to stop wondering if they're going to be okay.
I can't find it, but somebody commented yesterday and said that children should be prepared to take care of their parents if they need to retire, but they can't retire. Pretty much, kids step up, take care of mom and dad, But I'm finding that a lot of parents are still taking care of their adult children. What do y'all think about that?
This clip introduces a generational reality or trauma people don't talk about, commenting that kids should be prepared to take care of their parents in retirement. That used to be the expectation, but then she flips it, which she actually is seeing that parents are still taking care of their adult children while being unable to retire themselves. That's not necessarily failure. I mean, it could be, but it also could just be economics. High rent, low wages, student debt, adults moving back home, parents helping with the bills, the food, childcare, their grandchildren. And suddenly the people that were supposed to be doing the winding down, the OGs, they can't. This breaks that traditional retirement model completely. You can't plan in isolation when family survival is tied together. So it just adds a layer that people often ignore. Retirement isn't just about you. It's about the system your entire family is living in. And right now, that system is stretched thin.
Your 401k is not a retirement plan. It's a corporate pacifier to keep you quiet for 40 years. They told you, just max your 401k and you'll be fine. Really? While inflation eats your paycheck and fees nibble at your balance, you're supposed to clap because your target date fund did 7%? Newsflash, nobody's coming to save you. Your HR department isn't your financial planner, and your 401k loan is not going to get you rich enough to walk away from a job you hate. Yes, grab the employer match, take the free money, but after that, if you're not obsessing over new skills, higher income, and investing beyond the 401k, you're not responsible, you're stuck. If your entire strategy is work until 65 and hope your 401k does good, that's not a plan. That's a slow motion train wreck you've been told is normal. Your 401k is a leash, not a plan. Argue with me and prove me wrong.
So this right here just goes straight to the juggler. He calls a 401k what a lot of people secretly feel it is. It's basically a corporate pacifier. Max it out, stay calm, and trust the process. But reality tells a different story. Inflation eats your paycheck. Fees nibble away at your balance. And you're expected to clap at a 7% return when costs explode. And he's clear on this. Take the employer match. Free money is free money. But if that's the whole plan, that's not a strategy, that's hope. And hope doesn't let you walk away from a job you hate. This clip lands on something that we all have to understand. No one is going to save you. Your financial security based on skills, income, and options, and not just one account, especially how the businesses are operating. They care about their bottom line, not yours. So he's saying you have to understand how the game is played because it's playing in all of our faces right now. So when you hear all these stories back to back, one thing becomes clear. This isn't just about people making bad choices. It's about people following a system that stopped working the way it was promised. A lot of folks did what they're supposed to do. They worked hard, they stayed loyal, they saved what they could, but now they're being told to wait longer, accept less, and figure it out on your own. That's a disconnect. And the reason why these stories resonate, because a lot of us are dealing with this. It's not necessarily going to be in the headlines or a lot of theories out there, but real people are trying to hold it together while the ground keeps shifting underneath them. And if you watch this and you're going through it, you're not alone. A lot of people are going through the same thing. And if you're younger and you need to pay attention because this could happen to you, it's meant for you to be aware of what's going on around you, because I think these conversations matter, and I think ignoring them doesn't make the problem go away. But let me know what you guys think about these stories in the comments below. Tell me about your situation, your struggles, if you're in your 40s and 50s and 60s when it comes to the job market or just retirement in general. Or if you're doing great and you're retiring on time, let us know what you did and how you got it together. Maybe that will help someone in the comments. Thank you for taking time to watch this video, and I'll see you guys in the next video.